we have two big problems. And the number one problem as a car bloke that we are facing is that the next generation of cars are not friendly to you and me. And what am I talking about? Well, there are three tiers of cars, right? There is the brand new car that somebody might lease for 3 or 4 years, or somebody might own for that amount of time, and they get rid of them. There's really no issue with that buyer and seller and the car. Then there is the person who buys that car. So they might have it, usually a family or something, or someone, you know, they might buy the car outright. They've got the car for 5 years. And then there's the third buyer. The third buyer is the P-plater, the young bloke, the maybe, you know, not even struggling, but the family that's looking for a deal, those kind of things. When cars get to this age, you know, sort of 10, 11, 12 years, that is when typically things start to wear, you know, and there's nothing unique about particular cars and stuff like that. It happens to everything. The problem is the cars that are being made today, of course, there are exceptions, but the vast majority of cars that are made today are not going to last to that third tier in the same way that some of these old cars do. And what am I talking about? For an example, this car is way beyond its third year. It's 27 or 28 years old, and if I hadn't put this engine in it, the original engine was running sweet as a nut. I just put this supercharger in it, but just as an example, this car is 110% fantastic. And a completely drivable car. There is nothing wrong with it. It is just enough computerized stuff in it that you don't have to pull a choke every time you start it, but there is enough, but it's not too complicated rather, that it's immediately outdated or someone can take control of it remotely and stuff like that. So that is a really big problem for you and me, for these third-party cars, the third-tier cars, because that means that a lot of these third-tier stuff, there's only going to be so much made, and there's only going to be so many cheap cars that you can buy for 2 or 3 grand that are going to go forever as a first car. A BA Falcon, an old Camry, an old Corolla, you know, one of these Utes. There's only so many of these, and they are shrinking every year, getting written off, and getting parts for them is becoming very difficult because of just age. This is a big problem, guys. I don't know what the solution is, because we can't just keep driving 90s cars forever. And I'm not even just talking to the enthusiast. I'm talking to, I don't know if anyone watching this, if they've got kids and they're looking for a first car and they want something more modern. I mean, I don't know what you would choose. I really don't. I like these old cars because they're practical, they're reliable, but no matter how reliable they are, LS1 or Barra or whatever, they will be affected by age, and age trumps all reliability and engineering. I mean, yes, you can keep them on the road, and that is probably what I'm going to personally do. I think, you know, sort of 2014, 2015, around that era, you can still get some good stuff, but, you know, after that, a lot of the emissions, the diesel particulate filters, and you know, who is to blame? That's the other thing. I don't necessarily think it's the manufacturers. I think it's the government and us being pushed to electric vehicles and subsidising and all of that kind of stuff. So I guess what I'm trying to say with this number one problem is the decline of that third tier of car, and that's sad. It's sad. And we have another big problem, and this one, I'm not sure how well this is going to translate overseas, but in Australia, again, I don't want to be negative on this channel. I love being positive and I love talking about cars, but this is the reality that we are in today. The cost of living crisis in this country is dire. It is dire. Now, I won't pretend that I'm struggling. I'm not. I'm doing fine. And so I probably speak to this from a place of privilege, and I am very, very, very fortunate that in terms of having and have not, my family have always had. So I am very, very lucky, but I am the exception to the rule. Most people in my age are struggling to live. Now, if you can't afford rent, or you just can and you're keeping your head above water, not only are you not going to have the funds for doing up a car like this, even if it's cheap, right? Even if it's a couple of grand, not only are you not going to have funds for that, you're going to be desperate to save those funds, even if you have them for a rainy day. Your rent's increasing every second of the day, and you're working 2 to 3 jobs, so you are time poor. And because you are time poor, because you're working so much, you're not going to have, forget the money, you might have the money, but you're not going to have the time that these take to fix up. Just basic stuff. I mean, just things like doing the brakes, and then, if I'm doing this means that this car isn't driving at the moment. I'm lucky this is a car that can sit here for the next year. I'm not fussed, but if it's your only car or you rely on it, it's a little bit different. And because of the excessive cost of housing, people are living in shared houses and no one is having a garage space. And this is a real bugger. This is not good, because it is eroding the car enthusiast culture in this country to only people with money, and that is not good. It shouldn't be like that. I want it to be in a place like, I love capitalism, I love making money, I love the challenge, but it shouldn't be at the expense of everybody else, right? How can I put this? If you have no choice but to live in a share house or whatever, you're not going to be doing up a car in a share house. So I'm very lucky I was able to do that. But again, I'm a bit older, and again, a lot of people will laugh at that, but the difference from 5 years ago to now is significant. I mean, I was 18, I moved with 3 of my mates, we're paying $300 a week for a brand new joint, and with a big garage and all that stuff. So I was able to do stuff there, and that's actually where I built the Holden, the VN5 litre. If I was born just a little bit later, things would have been very, very different for me. Now, look, it's not all doom and gloom, and I think, just touching on the cost of living stuff, yes, it is very, very challenging, the time we're living in, but you have to get creative. You have to use this to figure out how you can have a share. There is more opportunity and more money out there waiting for you to go and take it. But the traditional route of getting a job and all that stuff and doing what used to work, even just 5-6 years ago, if you're going down that route, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, but I don't see how you can have this third place, and that is important. So not only are we eroding this culture of young blokes being able to have a crack, or young girls, and getting in the cars and that, because they're not doing that, they're not learning how to do it, they're not, getting trims and supporting businesses and like all of that stuff. It's not good. And it also means that some of these cars are never being saved. So I don't know what the solution is. Again, it's for me personally and my mates, or anyone that is into buying cars and selling cars, it's not a bad thing actually, because the market is down and there is money to be made. But if it's at the expense of culture and all of these other things, I really think that's not good. I love these old cars, I really do, and I'm not getting rid of them anytime soon, but I think that combination of, good engines like this not being made anymore, simple, reliable, and when things do go wrong with them, like this orange car, when things do go wrong, which we'll get into another video, we're not looking at tens and tens of thousands of dollars, or a battery replaced, or the car being written off because it's been in a little smash. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I was driving home and I just had this big thought and I just had to get it off my chest. It's hard. It's a really hard situation that we are in as car guys. And I still haven't touched on all the environmental things and all of that other stuff. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, following along, liking and subscribing. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm right. I'm open to being corrected. But I'm in this job. I'm very lucky that I get to meet lots of young people. I'm 28. But I get to meet lots of people that are a lot younger than me, and they have been robbed of this hope. Again, it's not just the money for the car, it's the money for storing it, maintaining it, and all that kind of stuff. So saying that, there is opportunity. I only started 2 years ago, and I'm lucky enough that I do this full time, and there's no reason that anyone or you or your mates or your mum or your whatever can't do something similar. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, liking, subscribing, following along. Let me know your thoughts.